Today we're making something that I have never made before. And we actually have a guest coming over later today for an early dinner to have this with us, so hopefully it turns out good. Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. My name is Nadia from Nadia and Rob, and today we are making what's called Keema Muttar. Keema means ground meat. In our case, it'd be by default lamb. And muttar, with an r at the end, is peas. In this case, we're using frozen peas. Getting ground lamb here in Toronto is actually very expensive, especially now with prices going up everywhere. So a trick that I've learned from my mother, which is an excellent one, is actually getting chunks of beef chuck, which is on the cheaper side, and asking them to add about 10% of lamb fat at the butcher shop and have them grind it together, and you get this. So you still get the lamb flavor of the fat, but you get a cheaper cut of meat. So this is actually a combination of beef and lamb. What I am excited about is a couple of videos ago I made chicken kadai and it turned out so good, which, you know, I feel like I'm finally getting the hang of making curries and understanding the technique behind it, because that's how you need to understand when you're making something like that. It's not just a combination of spices, but the technique involved. And I was able to find a larger sized kadai. Very happy about this one. This is a 10-inch diameter kadai, and also found a lid to match it so you can cover it nicely, and I'm happy that it's glass so I can see what's happening on the inside. This kadai, we found this at a place called Tap Phong in downtown Toronto, and it was only $18. On Amazon, it's so expensive for Canada. I found kadais for like $45 of the same 10-inch diameter, and with shipping it was an additional $20. So I'm happy to have found just this kadai alone, minus the lid. The lid I think was like $3 or $4 for $18. It's been washed thoroughly to the point where there's no black soot coming off of it, because it is an iron kadai, and it's been seasoned, so we can make keema muttar in this. And this just goes to show that this is a vessel that's for multi-purposes. It's not just for making kadai, which is a fried dish. You can make a saucy, semi-saucy dish like keema muttar in it, and you can even use it for deep frying. You actually will end up using less oil for deep frying because of the shape. Concave shape. All right. Now we do have a lot of spices to work with. We have bay leaf, cumin, coriander, chili powder, red chili powder specifically. We have whole cloves and black cardamom, which is actually different from a green cardamom. In regards to the imparting of flavor, this is a lot more fragrant with a slight minty note. It's more savory. It's as fragrant as when you're going towards like a star anise type family of scent. I don't know how else to describe it, but they're two distinctly different, and you need to be cautious on how you use them. We're going to use both the black cardamom and the cloves whole. You don't want to break them down, or else it'd be too strong of a flavor in the dish. You just want to be able to use one of each, or just one of the black cardamom and a couple of the black cloves. We are also going to be using cinnamon stick. You just need about half, not a lot. Now the first thing we want to quickly do is actually chop up onions. I like to finely chop my onions because I don't actually want the chunks of onion to show in the dish. There is no right or wrong way of doing it. You just go by personal preference. In my case, finely chopped, please. Whew. Oh. Probably can't see, but one tear rolled down my face. Okay. Anything else? This is a great opportunity to actually use coriander stems. Coriander stems will impart their own flavor, and since our coriander stems are kind of starting to wilt, might as well use it in this dish. Alternatively, if you don't want to use coriander or cilantro, you can do the same thing with parsley stems. Let's first get the oil and the spices blooming, and then we'll add in the onions and coriander stems.
How's it going?
Good. I'm making some Keema Muttar today.
I love this series that Nadia is doing, exploring basically her mother's cooking.
Yeah.
Trying to master it. I like it because I get the benefit of eating all this delicious food.
Today might be a bit more of a spicy kick.
There's always yogurt.
There's always yogurt, yeah.
Yeah, my throat isn't back to totally normal, but I can eat regular foods and spices are not too bad, so I can manage.
Good, because this dish needs that. I might end up using the ground spices. Do you mind just grabbing the ground coriander?
Do you want me to punch those up for you?
Sure. Mortar and pestle time.
M&P.
M&P.
Do you want to throw in an amount?
Yeah.
After all, we have this beautiful stone.
There you go.
And you have a grinder, so to speak.
I have a grinder. Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome.
Spices are blooming. You have bigger guns than I do. Okay, so what we're gonna do, because I need these onions to kind of soften and cook down, we're just gonna cover this.
I'm gonna leave you to it. I'll be back for eating.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a guest coming as well. So we'll be eating an early dinner because sailing season has started.
Yeah.
So Rob, what are you doing tonight?
I think we're putting the mast on the boat.
Yeah. And then, are you testing it tonight? Are you actually going to sail tonight or just putting the mast on?
I think we're just putting the mast on. So, yeah. And it's not my boat. I'm putting in sweat equity.
I like that. Yeah. I've never heard you say that before.
Oh, yeah. It's a common form of exchange in the sailing world.
You know what I'm not going to do today?
What?
Burn the onions today. I'm going to keep an eye on them. Onions are getting there, and the coriander stems are very fragrant as they're frying. And put the green chilies in here. It's all looking great. Soften it further. Looks good. As you can see, it's actually gone down quite a bit in size, or reduced, I should say. In which case, let's start adding all of our other spices. Some dishes add, or some people add turmeric to their Keema Muttar, but I'm not going to because I feel like it doesn't really need it. Just gonna add a bit more oil. So just help fry it a little further. Now I'm actually going to take 2 tomatoes. I have my 2 Roma tomatoes, and like with the kadai, for the kadai I actually just cut them in half, put on top. I'm going to do the same thing with this because then it's just easy to take the skin off. In the meantime, I'm just going to add the ground meat in. Now when you add those whole spices of the black cardamom, the clove, and the cinnamon stick at the beginning and fry it with the meat, what it actually helps is to draw the gaminess out of the meat, say if you were just using all lamb. Because we do a lot of low, slow cooking in our dishes, the gaminess tends to disappear. 1, because of all the strong spices that we're using, and 2, because we're allowing the stewing to get all the other flavors into the lamb. So for folks who are not lamb fans, you should try our curry dishes. If you know someone who is Indian or Pakistani and can get some home cooking that cooks with meat, you can try their dishes and you'll see the difference. You'll see what I mean in terms of the gaminess not being present in the meat. The other thing you're going to want to do is actually be very generous with the seasoning because you're adding peas in there as well. The peas will also suck up some of the salt. So don't be shy in what you're adding. Now you can add the ginger garlic paste near the beginning when you're frying up the onions, but the reason I like to add it now with the meat is because the fragrance changes, which means the flavor of the meat and the dish itself is going to be different. There is no right or wrong, it's just a preference of what flavor notes you want to have as you're cooking the dish. Just a bit more. There, need a bit more water. Go. There you go. Let that sit for a bit. We'll let that sit for a bit till the tomatoes get a bit soft, and then we can remove the skin, then mash up the tomatoes so they become part of the dish. And we'll just let it keep cooking. It is smelling unbelievable in here. While that's cooking, I'm just gonna do what I normally do, just quickly clean up. Lower the heat a little, and we're just gonna let this sit and keep cooking. Cover that up. We're gonna just let the tomatoes and all the other ingredients kind of blend in together and get to know each other a bit. So Rob is grabbing lunch for us. We're gonna break for lunch, come back, and I'll keep checking on this and see how it's doing, making sure that I don't burn it. Now, as this cooks and gets a little tender and all the flavors start incorporating together, the only thing you'd want to decide on, and this is more of a personal preference, if you want to keep the dish more liquidy, more saucy, or if you really want to dry it out almost like a kadai where it's more of a fry type dish. I'm going to leave it a little bit liquidy, but what I'm looking for is to make sure that most of the water is evaporated and it's just more oil pooling on top. That means that the water that the tomatoes have released have pretty much evaporated and have gone more concentrated into the dish. Went down the wrong pipe. Tasting better though. Just to clarify, it wasn't the heat that made me cough. When I was tasting, it just went down the wrong throat, and ooh, I hate it when that happens. That was good. Meat is cooked. The sauce has reduced down to a nice amount. You can see slight pool of oil, which means quite a bit of the water has evaporated and has concentrated into the dish. I just added a bit more salt because it was slightly undersalted, but now I'm going to add the peas. Once the peas have cooked through, I'm just going to check the salt level again, see if it needs more. Whew, that really got me. Sometimes you just have those days. Oh. Nothing is quite going right. Tasting delicious, which I'm very pleased with considering it's my first time making it. Next, I'm going to try actually frying the ginger paste near the beginning when the onions have kind of sauteed and softened. See if there's a difference in flavor. I'm liking what it's doing right now because it's very fragrant, which makes the dish more rich tasting. And I'm just going to taste it soon now with the peas added in, but I'm happy. I think I finally get how to make my own food. I crave it quite a bit because we don't call it Indian food. This It's food. It's food for us. And this is what we grew up with. And it's hard to find restaurants here in Toronto who make them because they're making it for a different palate and what the assumptions were made because of the Indian restaurants that were starting up in Britain. And that's kind of carried over to here, unfortunately. But that's not really the food that we eat that you see in restaurants. What we eat at home is made differently with a different flavor profile. So I hope this inspires people to actually make some of these dishes, because a lot of the dishes that you see on YouTube are made by people who are Hindi or Urdu speakers, which means English speakers can't really understand it. So as I'm on my journey of cooking these up and trying to become better at it as I go, hopefully this inspires you guys to actually want to explore it further and see what Indian and Pakistani dishes are really like. Because they're not really like what you find in restaurants. Unless you go to a really good restaurant. If I go to an Indian restaurant, not necessarily in downtown Toronto, I would probably go to like Brampton area if you are from Toronto. And sometimes I will ask in my language, can you make it the way you make it at home? Not what you normally put out in the restaurant. I even do it here sometimes in downtown if I manage to get someone on staff that will listen to me, and I'll ask them, can you make it the way you make it at home, please? You know, a little heavier on the spices and the flavoring. Like a Moser?
Now a good time for lunch.
Yeah, just finished.
Perfect.
Just sprinkling on some garam masala and coriander and it's done.
Our WDT tools arrived. Oh, so if you're doing that, you're at the end?
I'm done.
Oh. See, I know, garam masala is the last step.
Yes, that's right. My mom would be proud.
And I always thought garam masala was how you started a curry.
You can, some people do, but I think it depends on what's in there, because a lot of times, if you started near the beginning, there's a lot of spices in there that'll turn very bitter.
Okay.
It can turn very bitter. Yeah.
Smells fantastic.
So I quickly photograph it. Yeah, that was perfect timing.
It is, huh?
All done, all done.
How is it?
I think it's good. I
Smells
choked
fantastic.
earlier when I was tasting. I went down the wrong pipe. Hot. Hot in temperature, but so good. I don't know how chefs just eat.
You just develop an iron mouth and no feeling in your fingers.
Yeah, that's good. It turned out really good.
How long does it take? How long did it take you to make?
Oh, that turned out good. How long were you gone for? That might bother you a little. It's a little spicy.
Oh, it's good. It's delicious.
Salt is good. No gaminess from the lamb fat.
No. Are you kidding? Lamb fat? Good flavor.
It is good flavor. It's very
Such
different.
a secret.
Thank you, Mom, for sharing that
delicious.
secret. I'm still choking a bit from earlier. All right, we're gonna break for lunch. Thanks to everybody for joining. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell for more shenanigans like this, where, you know, the reality of cooking is things happen in the kitchen. Ready to eat?
Absolutely.
And let's eat. I'll put this away.